investor to have a conviction in it, it takes, the prior experience of a founder, which I had. Yeah. And I mean, I've built medical devices before, so I understand like how you can approach the contract manufacturers, like how to talk with people in China and in Korea to like get them produce what you want.
Welcome to another episode of What's Next with Ronit and Gaurav. Unfortunately, Ronit is held hostage, not in the literal sense, but he's extremely busy in Hong Kong at the moment at a fintech festival that's taking place. Regardless, we have to go on, as they say. The show must go on. And in that spirit, I'm very, very, very happy to have and introduce our guest today, Marina Sol from Diagnio. Hi, Marina. How are you?
Hi, Gaurav. Thanks for having me today. Yeah, very happy to be here. I'm all good. Connecting from Turkey today.
You're in Turkey. We have our CFT partners in London, and I'm in Dubai. So, as usual, a very international show in all traits and fashions. Marina, we first met at the Expand North Star, the GITEX event, the large Gulf International Technology and Exhibition show that took place recently. But we've come across you before from different entrepreneurial circles, I'm pleased to say, in the region. Tell us, who is Marina Sol? I'd love to learn more about you.
For sure. Yeah, thanks, Gaurav. Happy to share my story a little bit. So I'm Marina. I'm the founder of the company called Diagnio. And as a company, we're redefining the diagnostics for women's hormonal health and fertility here in the region, in the UAE and in the Gulf countries. And basically what we do is we empower women to be in control of their health and well-being, all from the comfort of their own homes. So that's what the company does. And then for me, I've been in health tech for almost all of my career, should I say that? More than 15 years from now, and this is my passion. My personal story is there because I come from doctor's family as well. My mother is a gynecologist, so actually, thanks to her research on the IVF subjects, I had a privilege to be born to this world as one of the first IVF babies in my home country. And since then, I basically knew that I would definitely do the businesses in the healthcare and technology. And yeah, that's why it's been always my passion and my business story. And that's what I'm really destined to do.
Wow, there's a lot to unpack there in just that little bit of what you've just told us about yourself. So you come from a family of doctors. So you grew up in St. Petersburg. Both your parents are doctors. Is that correct?
My mother is a doctor, and my father was involved into like more like sports angle to a medicine, so like sports and rehabilitation.
So you were very inspired by your mother to join the medical profession. So you're a doctor as well.
I studied biochemistry. To be very honest, I never wanted to be a doctor. Looking at my mom, that was, what I was sure from the beginning. No, I don't want to do that, because that's, I mean, for me, that was always like, a profession of of a great dedication, of a great sacred knowledge, if you want that. And, I knew that, okay, that's not for me, but I want to help those, those precious minds and those talented minds who have chosen to be the doctors to make better decisions with the help of technology. That's my role, but not the medicine itself.
So when, you had the decision to study biochemistry, what took you into the field leaning towards medical devices? Was it clearly the inspiration from what you were surrounded by? Was it your personal story of being one of the first IVF children? I mean, there's so much happening there. How did you get to the path of Diagnio? Because you said you traveled a lot, you moved to a few countries. Tell us about those stories. What other jobs or professions did you do before you became a full-time entrepreneur? Or were you always an entrepreneur building businesses?
I'd say it was like both. I had a mix of entrepreneurial spirit, career paths, and also like the big corporations. I was always around the healthcare, that's for sure. So like anytime I was always connected to some healthcare based businesses, be it pharmaceuticals or health providers or anything like that. And then, yeah, I mean, I took various roles, always were something to do with technology and with innovations and with like digitalizing the healthcare. And then I think it came with the experience, with my understanding that the medical devices as such, especially the consumer based medical devices or like consumer targeted medical devices, are something that could really transform the healthcare as a business. Uh, First of all, giving more power to consumer to know and to decide for themselves like what's best in terms of their health, and also to democratize the health as such as a science. Yeah, because again, as I always knew, I mean, healthcare knowledge is or used to be always limited to that population of doctors, right? And it's good, yeah, because I mean they know best. But then, there are so many things now with technology that can give you that knowledge as well. Like, all those wearables, all those handheld devices. And, it's something that we can also learn and actually make use for our everyday life. And the point is, I mean, we know so much about our banking applications and like how to do bank transfers and like give money to this and that and, do that and funds and invest. But we don't know anything, like literally anything about what happens in our bodies. And I think medical devices is one of the areas that can really shed light on this. And that's why I think this is so empowering. And this is why I wanted to bring this even more, to the consumers, to the society for the impact. And yeah, that's why I'm doing it.
So you've obviously had a lot of experience in the field or interacting with doctors, hospitals, and patients.
Yeah.
And this has led you down the journey to begin Diagnio. But can you tell us a little bit more about what kind of devices you were interacting with or what kind of evolutions you saw? Because like technology, say 20 years ago, if somebody took the journey to become a car manufacturer, it was a lot more of a daunting standardized process for someone to take on from scratch. Today, there's almost a template. There are
Mm-hmm.
more people who want to be car manufacturers today in the EV space than there are number of people potentially thinking about being car manufacturers by a factor of 5 over the last 50 years, if not even more. So given that technology has advanced, can you tell us about what you were seeing, what inspired you, and what was that moment where you went, I can do this? It's technology has reached to a point where, as an individual and as a professional from the field, I see an opportunity, I'm inspired, but I can do this now as opposed to needing private equity or sovereign money from the beginning for an idea or research money to do it. What led you to that point where you said, now I want to start the entrepreneur journey and I can take this on?
Yeah, sure. So I would say like the initial thoughts were appearing to me about 10 years ago, a little bit more, when actually Apple Watch appeared. And I was just thinking that we could actually use some of the monitoring features of those devices that we hold to collect the certain data of our bodies, right? So, and then it's like, oh, okay, actually, Apple Watch is launching something like this. Yeah, they do like the pulse measurement and all of that. So that were, like the first thinkings. And then, much after that time, after I already tried several businesses in medical devices field, like I've done, all types of devices for kids, because as I mentioned, like mothers and kids health was always a passion for me. So like I've done temperature monitoring for kids. I've done nebulizers to treat cold and asthma. So like, yeah, different things. But then like to the point of Diagnio, at the COVID times, I had a specific thought and a specific insight that, when people started to use those PCR testing technologies to test themselves for viruses at home, with the use of saliva, this is when I thought, okay, now finally the technology can allow us to test the real biological markers, yes, the biomarkers at home. And that's what led me to the fact, or to the revelation that we can actually help the whole diagnostics area for, for finding out and for detecting the conditions or the diseases with this at-home measurements. Yeah, because the testing for biomarkers is one of the important first steps that was always missing, because the only way how you can test for anything before, it was the blood, right? So you need to go to the doctor, then you need to get the prescription, or like the sending to the lab and all of that. And when it is brought to homes, it's so much easier, to take this step, and then you can use it for detection or for prevention. And that's where like the real business case, I would say, started to appear and to formulate in my mind.
So technology is advanced. It's becoming more available for people to access or create data sets to do meaningful things with,
yeah,
in their own homes or in their own capacity in the most friendly kind of manner.
Yep.
But you're a working professional, right? I mean, have you started businesses before, or were you always a medical, working in the health industry as a professional till that point?
As I was mentioning, I used to have my previous company before Diagnio. It was a local company. We did a joint venture with a pharmaceutical business, and we were launching medical devices for. We had two segments: one for kids, one for sportsmen. So yeah, I've done it before, and even like many years ago, also had a small business in the advertising field, like digital advertising, with my friends. So it was always a mixture for me of the corporate career and entrepreneurship career.
Wow. So this is not your first entrepreneurial journey at all. This is a continuation of a series of entrepreneurial journeys, and a second one, if I'm correct, in medical devices.
Yeah.
So for you, you've already gone through the learning curve of understanding, to a degree, correct me if I'm wrong, on
It's never
where to
ending learning
build,
curve.
where there's no learning curve now. So you know,
No,
you
no,
know.
it's never ending learning curve. It's
It's
always
never ending
regardless of
learning
the past experience. Yeah.
curve. So how different is it today? I mean, it's been a wonderful story to understand your background and what led you to the point of doing Diagnio. Tell us about what Diagnio started as and what it does today. Tell us all about it, please.
Yeah. So, we started as, with one particular segment that we wanted, or one particular problem that we wanted to solve, is the problem of, like early and fast diagnostics for women who are trying to conceive. Yeah. So it's a fertility diagnostic business, if you want. Again, brought by the ability to test yourself at home, fast and easy for the hormones. And basically, we made our first biomarker based on estrogen. This is like one of the key female hormones responsible for fertility. So yeah, with our saliva-based test system, which consists of the reader and the test strip, we detect ovulation probability and ovulation fact. And then together with our software, which is a mobile application, we basically help women to manage their menstrual cycle. Again, understand the individual paths and individual like tracks of ovulation and of the chances to conceive, and also add on top of it additional data, like data on stress, on chronic fatigue, on anxiety, and on the risk of diabetes, which even further, enhances the understanding of chances to conceive. So that's what we do today. And this product is it's ready. Yeah, we've had the with clinical study, we validated as a medical device. The physical product itself got the listing of the US FDA, and now we're launching that product in the Gulf markets. So we already have our pre-orders, commercial pre-orders in the UAE. We have secured several pilots with clinics here. We're working right now with the Ministry of Health and with Abu Dhabi Health Authority and with Saudi FDA to get the local clearance so that we can import our device into the market. and start, the commercial growth as much as we want. And this is for today. And then for the future, we have already finished the first step of our R&D engagement to enlarge our hormonal panel to 5 more hormones. So we're actually going to target other segments of women's health, such as pregnancy, post-birth recovery, menopause, thyroid conditions, so like different endocrinological conditions throughout the lifetime. And we're starting now our partnership with Mohammed bin Rashid University to clinically test our further R&D developments there, and come up with the new hormones into our pipeline, basically.
You make it sound way too easy, Marina, but I have to say I've got some investments in some medical device companies in the United States, and they are very old companies to a large degree by startup standards. They're 7 years old, they're 8 years old, and some of them have only recently got FDA approval and going live into the market. So to achieve what you have is by no means any small feat. So congratulations. That's a lot of effort. You make it sound like you just walked in and you just managed all these things, but I'm sure there was a colossal effort in there. And that's something I'd like to unpack for our listeners a little bit more, if you don't mind. What's been the timeline from when you started to get to where you are today, where you're just really ramping up, going live in the market, and then going to expand the product services?
Actually, Gaurav is in about 2 years, full time. The company itself, we incorporated in September last year. So started, of course, before forming the company, and then the incorporation happened a little bit over than a year from now. I mean, it was very difficult. I'm not, trying to sound as it was easy, but I mean, as a startup founder, I often talk to all the different investors, and of course, not all of them, understand the health tech in the technicalities of it. So I'm just trying to make it's quite self-explanatory, and that everyone can understand. But I mean, it is a hard journey, and I mean, right now it is a very hard journey, because anything related to regulations in health tech is I mean, how should I say it? It's probably like get a banking license for fintech products. And I mean, there's a lot of fintech companies in the market, so I know that's relatable. So it is the same hard, if not more, and it's not easy, but I mean, with some experience, you kind of know how to deal with it. Even though it's very, very stressful.
2 years is very fast in the medical world for a device to be out there, FDA approved, hitting the markets, doing things. I mean, that's what I think.
I'm a fast person. I don't like to sit still.
But your investors must be very happy with that. If you can move that quickly in the medical space with FDA approval, they must love you. So I mean, it's a match made in heaven for both sides. But when you started your company and you're approaching building hardware, a lot of startups, when they get VC funding, traditionally speaking, in the majority, a lot of people say, "Oh my God, you're doing a piece of hardware? No, sorry, because it costs too much to scale, and there's so much clawback that can happen on my investment draining to get revenue, to get product market fit, to get testing. The cost to move to the next stage is just too expensive." Majority of major investors, micro investors, actually, I know, as soon as they see hardware, they run out of the room. So from when you were approaching that idea and you were convincing people, no, it's easy. Can you walk us through how that journey was dealing with investors? Were these the same investors that you've worked with before? Is this the first time you're working with investors in your entrepreneurship journey?
No, it's not necessarily the first time, but I mean, I do agree with you. The investing in hardware, investor has to have a certain inner strength or inner conviction, to go for it. And I mean, of course, it's like you need to really understand that there are also different types of hardware. I mean, there are flying cars, and there are really home-based medical devices. which it's not expensive piece of hardware. Yeah, like our product is like roughly a $100 piece of of, of the physical thing. So it's not about a lot of the capital investments, and it is possible to build it. And I think for the investor to have a conviction in it, it takes the prior experience of a founder, which I had. Yeah, and I mean, I've built medical devices before, so I understand like how you can approach the contract manufacturers, like how to talk with people in China and in Korea to like get them produce what you want, and like how to secure the quality and like all those processes. That's number one. um, Number two is more about like understanding that the hardware actually can be broken down into the several like key pieces. Let's say the reader itself is not complicated at all. Yeah, because it's just a serial, manufacturing of things, which is like 1,000 times easier than an iPhone, right? So it's just very easy. What is difficult is the test strip, and actually investors often do not realize that the device that is hard. It is the test strip that is hard, because this is where the whole science is, and this is where all biochemistry is. And on the test strip, because you kind of put there some reagents and enzymes, and basically the molecules that help you do the detection. So like there, if you mess up with quality, that's a problem. And again, that means that the previous ability and the previous experience of managing these kind of processes and understanding how you can find the right supplier to manage those quality processes is important. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of the experience that we've had with it, and of course still will have going forward. And yeah, I mean, constantly looking, for new partners, for new suppliers in the region and out of the region for this type of manufacturing. But it's all possible. It just takes the knowledge and the experience.
I think I may be wrong, but I think you're the first company we've had on our show that has a hardware element to their business. And
Oh,
because of that, yeah, it's very cool. And what I would love to do is expand on the hardware part of your journey, perhaps for listeners listening for the first time to somebody that's done a hardware-based company as well as a software-based company. How do you approach that? And how did you approach that from that aspect? How much of the hardware is intellectual property and building and patenting and processing and trademarking that you do in-house versus, oh, it's no problem at all. There's so many off-the-shelf companies. It's a standardized product. It's like a tailor. You go in, you give them your measurements, you come out, and it's the clothes and branding is your product. Can you
hmm,
explain that a little bit to us, shed light on that?
sure. Yeah. It's like it's always a journey. So as a startup, you want to launch as fast as possible. So I would say you will start with the lowest hanging fruit. Yeah. And also with a fruit that's like has the best taste, right? For the consumers. So that is why like we started with the estrogen as a hormone and with the fertility as the segment, where okay, like if woman wants to have a baby, that's a critical decision for her. So she wants the help, yeah, if she needs it. So that there's a need for the product. And second, the the hormone that we're measuring with this product, the estrogen, is actually the easiest to detect from scientific perspective. Yeah, so it's both the need and the feasibility, right? And then, again, for the first product, what we really tried to do is we tried to find the best kind of ready-made solution from the hardware perspective. Yeah, because again, hardware takes time. Yeah, and you want to launch fast. I repeat again myself. And then what we did is we like more focused ourselves and our team of the software piece. The machine learning algorithms, the detection method, the presentation of the results and all of that. Yeah, and all the recommendations. And then these three components work together. So the need, the like maximum ready-made hardware, and the good contract manufacturer, and then the software on our side. Now going forwards, what we also have done is we created a much more robust, let's say, scientific detection method, yeah, for this hormone and for other hormones to come, which we of course patented. And in the medtech space and the biotech space, that's the most important thing, right? And there you would patent it for the detection algorithm, for the like hardware components used and for software components used. And then you have your time once your first product is kind of ready and launching and you start to generate sales. But then going forward, you have that time frame to kind of, to master the best possible next contract manufacturing partner and next like product with the best quality and all of that. So it's kind of, it's a two-way journey. Yeah, I would say in a two parallel roads, which are with a little bit different pace, but then you actually need to do both because, as a startup, you want the speed, but you also want the protection. So that's why you kind of go these two roads all together.
And we're getting a how to build a hardware and software startup 101, Marina,
Yeah,
from you. It's awesome.
101 advice. Yeah.
This is a 101. I just want to talk about building the team as well, right? The same way technology is evolving or becoming more accessible for you to do what you are looking to achieve with Diagnio today. Team building for companies is also no longer a standardized book process. How did you approach this? Because there's COVID, there's everything else. Does your team operate remotely? Do you all sit in the same country? Are you all in all parts of the world? Tell us about how you chose your team and how your team is. How big is your team? Where are they? I'd love to learn with more of our listeners about what does that look like for Diagnio today.
We're full-timers, so we're 6 people full-time right now. We have about 10 more contractors. All full-timers, except for one person, are based out of Dubai. Yeah. So I actually prefer that the team is as close to each other as possible. Even though like all the experience of COVID and remote working, I think that it's still okay if we do the remote work. Yeah, and like we work from home or from like the temporary offices. But we also have an opportunity to meet each other once or twice a week in like in 5 premises basically where we are based in terms of our office space in Dubai. So I think that's very important. And for the contractors, they are from anywhere in the world, like from different countries really, like our developers and designers and webmasters. And that's totally all right.
I'm not very much aware, and I spend a lot of time in the entrepreneurship space here and a lot of time with startups in the UAE and the region. But I'm not aware of a lot of medical technology companies that are hardware based starting out of the region. Is there a lot of competition in this space? I mean, or is it very, very, for lack of a better word, an empty space and you chose this region for that purpose? Or was this region special to you or you just happened to be here? Why Dubai? Why the region? And why were you looking at starting here first?
In terms of the competition, I would call it a blue ocean or say a blue sea, because it's not the global, markets, but still, yeah, the region is like a blue sea. So there's like really, really little competition in terms of the medical companies and especially companies focusing on femtech and women's health. So I just know maybe less than 5 founders who are also doing something in femtech. And I mean, they're not even the competition. They're just doing it from the different angles. So it's very good to have them. I would say I'm very happy that there exist other founders who are like doing the same thing so that we can actually join the forces and do some more education together. But yeah, I mean, there are multiple reasons why we have chosen this market. First of which, being that there's not enough competition, but more importantly, it's the demand, because here in the region, for women's health, the infertility rates are one of the highest in the world. Actually, it's almost 40% as opposed to global averages of like 22, 23% of infertility rates. And infertility rate, I mean, to be very clear, it's inability to conceive in the course of first 12 months of trying. Yeah, so it's a medical indication. It doesn't mean like not conceiving at all. It just means the time. Yeah. So that is the first reason. Then the second reason is lack of this at-home based offering. Yeah. And it's only up to now, it's only been like the lab testing that was available, or like the simple urine based test strips, which are like no digital, no monitoring, no tracking capabilities. And, the other side of it is that for women here in the region, and especially to the like local population, the whole topic of fertility and reproductive health is still being somewhat of a taboo, yeah, I would say, or like not comfortable to discuss. And that's why there's a great preference to any solutions that would allow you to actually act with whatever you need to act with at home and not go into the clinics. So that was big, another reason for us to be here. And yeah, I mean, in the end, number speaking, it's like 1.5 million women in Saudi and the UAE alone every year who are trying to get pregnant. So that's a good market, And starting with that and expanding into other segments, like I mentioned, whether pregnancy and postpartum and menopause. That's a lot. That's like 25 million women in Gulf region. That's potentially our customers. So it is a great market for us. Yeah.
So you're going to start this journey in its next phase by opening up the market, addressing the market, getting the device out there, getting this into the hands of users to test themselves, start looking at this information, start using this information to help them on a single course. And you're going to expand this offering down the line into multiple sets of data extraction from a single source to allow people to have better lifestyles and health and decision-making processes, not just in fertility to start with from a knowledge perspective or a path perspective. What does Diagnio look like 5 years from now, 10 years from now? What is your ultimate vision when you look back for it and you say, this is the ultimate version of what Diagnio can be and what you think it is? I know we change our minds. I know businesses change. I know things change. But for you today, as you're talking to us and the listeners, what's the ultimate version of Diagnio?
For me, I always thought of this as Alexa for bathroom concept. You know what Alexa is, right? It's something that normally stands in your living room and you ask all sorts of questions and it just gives you the answers, right? So really, I want Diagnio to be the Alexa for bathroom. And that means that it's really a device, still, like a standalone device, which is positioned in your bathroom, and then it's the source over your insights and for health and well-being for all family, and is also a part of your everyday morning routine. So like basically before you brush your teeth, you kind of spit into it, and let's be very physical here, and it will tell you, what kind of health insights you had, be it hormonal health, reproductive health, or anything else. And again, ideally, it is for all family, not only women's health, but also for the kids and for the husbands, obviously. So that's my vision. And I mean, as a founder and as a business person, that for me means that I would probably like to exit of this sort of business to a company like Amazon or the company like Philips, who's doing the toothbrushes and all of that. And that's kind of corresponding to my exit strategy that I envision in my mind.
So affordability, mass production, price point of adoption, scale, and multiple data points across your lifestyle, which can then feed back into people's health almost as a routine. So Diagnio's vision is, if I'm buying a toothbrush, I should buy a Diagnio device in some concept, way, or form as well at some point. It should just be the same thing. Shouldn't be a differentiator because it's so essential to your.
Just go together with it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a very, very, very large ambition. That's a great thing. And And do you think it's always going to be UAE focused, or do you see yourself traveling to the US or moving to Europe to fulfill this vision? At what point do you think you have to move out of this ecosystem, or do you think you can accomplish that given the way the UAE is trying to really create this really strong and acceptable ecosystem for businesses to incubate, accelerate, and grow? Like we just had an announcement of Tabby, becoming the next unicorn, the first fintech unicorn in the region. It shows that there is potential, and people are really trying to gear up to that. What do you think? Do you think you'll be here when you're the Diagnio in every bathroom in every household across the world, or will you be in the US or Europe?
I actually think that like UAE is being the very good and actually the great place to scale, and also I think that geographically it's it's a very right spot to be in, because like how I see it in terms of the future, and again, given that we have the economies of scale and all of that, I would be seeing us, of course, as a global company. Yeah, so not not stopping at the Gulf or at the MENA region as the audience. But then if you actually compare the regions of the world, and you can keep that affordability, the most interesting regions are actually the countries like India, like Indonesia, like Malaysia and all of that. So I would say as our next step after MENA, I will look at those regions, not even in the US, because I mean, with all due respect that there's like all the money and all of that and all the business, but for the amount of people that we can be serving and for the amount of impact that we can be having, it's 3 to 4 times more women that we can serve in those regions. Yeah. So I would prefer to go that road first and actually be the unicorn based on those regions. And then we can expand to the US, of course.
I think one last question, which I want to touch upon, is perhaps out of context or adjacent to your journey as an entrepreneur and as a person that's building a medical device company that you want to scale globally from the UAE. And that is about women in entrepreneurship. It's a topic that's been talked about for a long time. And I want to go directly and just ask you, what's your experience been in this region as a female founder? Has it been a good journey? Has it been surprising? Has it been excellent? Do you have things that you can share with other people or insights about how that journey has been for you as a female founder and entrepreneur in this region, who's also been an entrepreneur in other regions?
I would say that, well, it's a difficult one because it's not like you're only the female entrepreneur, right? It's that the fact that you're a female entrepreneur in a health tech field with a hardware, and you're also a solo founder. So you have like at least 4 factors, encompassing, and which one is actually, the orange flag or the red flag, whatever you call it, you don't know, right?
I regret asking you this question already, Marina. I regret it.
I mean, it's like, I know I can do it, I know I will do it. So, I mean, you pick your one for which you would say no as an investor. It's like, I leave it for you, but I'm sure there are investors that would say yes.
But before we sign off, I'd love for you to tell us, how can people access Diagnio today? Where do they find out more information? Where can they access it? Where can they learn it? And when are you going to make it accessible for men to also understand more about their health and lifestyle?
Sure. So, today we have our website, diagnio.com, and there everyone can either have the pre-order or join the wait list for the product. We're also encouraging following our social media activities at Instagram, Diagnio Fertility, or Facebook, or even TikTok, and we're posting there, educational videos every week, and like product-related posts even more often. And that's the focus for now. I mean, women's health will be for sure our focus for the next 2 to 3 years. And then we'll be expanding to other new territories. So yeah, stay tuned for the men solutions.
Marina, I have to say it's been a pleasure having you on our show today. I think it's going to be very inspiring for whoever's listening on all sides of the table of their entrepreneurship journey. We wish you all the best and success, and we'll be in touch with you to see how things are going further along the line. Thank you so much for your time. Take care and all the best.
Thank you sincerely, Gaurav. Yeah, it was my pleasure to have this conversation with you. Yeah, thanks a lot.